Let me tell you a secret. Right now, people around you are controlling you. Your boss, your friends, even your family. And you don't even realize it, because they've been lying to you your whole life. Be kind, play fair, trust people, they said. And where did that get you? Others climbed while you stayed stuck. Manipulators won while you lost. But 500 years ago, one man wrote the real rules of power. So dangerous it was banned, burned, and condemned. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. Today, you're going to learn the 7 ruthless rules that will make you impossible to control, manipulate, or defeat. This isn't about becoming evil. It's about seeing reality as it is. Because once you understand these rules, nobody will ever use you again. Let's begin. Rule 1. Never depend on goodwill. Only on self-interest. Here's the truth Machiavelli discovered. People don't help you because they like you. They help you because it benefits them. Your boss doesn't give you raises out of generosity. Colleagues don't support your ideas out of friendship. They act when it serves their agenda. The moment helping you becomes inconvenient, that goodwill disappears. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous." Brutal? Yes. True? Absolutely. The example: Julius Caesar trusted Brutus. They were close friends, and Brutus stabbed him 23 times. Why? Because when the moment came, Brutus's self-interest outweighed his loyalty. Caesar's mistake wasn't trusting the wrong person. It was trusting based on feelings instead of incentives. How to apply this? Stop asking, "Will they help me?" Start asking, "What's in it for them?" You want a promotion? Don't tell your boss you deserve it because you work hard. Show them how promoting you solves their problem. Does it reduce their workload? Make them look good? That's your argument. You need a favor? Don't appeal to friendship. Align interests. I'm working on something that could benefit your department too. Want to collaborate? When you control the incentive, you control the relationship. That's power. The weak hope for kindness. The strong create necessity. Rule 2. Better to be feared than loved. If you can't be both, this is Machiavelli's most controversial rule, and it's misunderstood. He's not saying be a tyrant. He's saying respect backed by consequences is more reliable than respect backed by affection. Because when pressure comes, love fades. Fear endures. Think about it. The boss everyone loves but doesn't respect. People take advantage. The parent who's their kid's best friend. The kid walks all over them. Why? Because without consequences, humans test boundaries. And when there are none, chaos follows. The example: Steve Jobs. Was he loved? Not always. Was he feared? Absolutely. People knew mediocrity wouldn't fly. Excuses were worthless. His standards were non-negotiable. Result? Apple became one of the most innovative companies in history. Compare that to leaders who avoid confrontation to stay likable. Their authority crumbles. Their teams underperform. Kindness without boundaries isn't strength, it's weakness. How to apply this? Be warm but firm. Be kind but never weak. When someone crosses a line, address it immediately and calmly. No drama, no anger, just consequences. That behavior isn't acceptable. If it happens again, we'll need to reconsider this arrangement. Then follow through. Most people never do. That's why they're dismissed, not respected. The goal isn't to be cruel. It's to be unmovable on your standards, while staying human in your interactions. People respect clarity. They exploit ambiguity. Rule 3. Keep your intentions hidden. Let others reveal theirs. Machiavelli understood. The person who speaks first loses. When you broadcast your plans, others prepare to counter. When you reveal emotions, you hand them weapons. When you show weakness, you paint targets on yourself. Meanwhile, those who stay silent gather intelligence. They watch who speaks, who commits, who shows their hand. Then they strike when everyone else is exposed. This is strategic opacity. The psychology. Humans hate silence. It makes us uncomfortable. So when you withhold information, others rush to fill the void and reveal everything. In negotiations, the first person to name a price typically loses. In conflicts, the first to show desperation gets exploited. In relationships, whoever needs validation more surrenders control. The example, think about poker. The best players maintain a neutral face regardless of their hand. Why? Because the moment you signal strength or weakness, opponents adjust. Life is the same game. Someone asks about your plans. I'm exploring options reveals nothing while sounding cooperative. Someone tries to provoke you. Silence or interesting perspective gives them nothing to work with. Someone shares gossip. Listen, absorb, never contribute. You just learned their loyalty is for sale. How to apply this? While you keep your cards close, create opportunities for others to reveal theirs. What do you think we should do? Forces them to commit first. How would you handle this? Reveals their thinking. Why did you do that? Produces more honesty than they intended. Information asymmetry is power. Guard yours like your life depends on it. Because your success does. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most dangerous. The quietest one is. Rule 4. Adapt or die. Principles are luxuries. Weak people can't afford. This is where Machiavelli becomes uncomfortable. He argued that rigid adherence to principles makes you predictable, exploitable, and ultimately destroyed by those willing to be flexible. A wise ruler cannot and should not keep his word when it would be to his disadvantage. Before you recoil, understand what he's saying. Context matters more than consistency. The trap. We're taught that integrity means never changing. But that's not integrity. That's stubbornness. And in a world where circumstances shift constantly, stubbornness is suicide. Think about businesses that refuse to adapt to the internet. Leaders who stuck to outdated strategies. People who stayed loyal to companies that laid them off without hesitation. They valued consistency over effectiveness. And they lost. The example. Winston Churchill allied with Stalin to defeat Hitler. Two ideologically opposed leaders, cooperating because circumstances demanded it. Was Churchill unprincipled? No. He was adaptive. His goal, defeating fascism, stayed constant. His tactics shifted based on reality. The greatest leaders in history share this trait. They're lions when strength is needed. Foxes when cunning is required. How to apply this? Have core values that don't change. Your North Star. But be willing to adjust tactics based on circumstances. Your value, protecting your family. Your tactics, sometimes confrontation, sometimes diplomacy, sometimes strategic retreat. You're not compromising values. You're choosing the most effective method to uphold them. Ask yourself, am I sticking to this approach because it's working, or because I'm afraid to change? If your strategy is failing, but you continue because it's who I am, You're not being authentic. You're being stubborn. Be water. Bruce Lee said it. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Adapt or die. It's not cynical. It's survival. Rule 5. Create necessity. Never give options that harm you. Machiavelli understood. When people have choices, they often choose against your interests. The solution? Engineer situations where every option benefits you. This is controlled choice. The psychology. Humans resist commands, but accept choices. We need to feel autonomous even when we're not. The skilled operator provides that feeling, while controlling the outcome. The example. Skilled negotiators don't force you into one option. That triggers resistance. They present multiple options, all serving their goal. Would you prefer to start Monday or Wednesday? Assumes you're starting. Should we close this deal today or schedule a follow-up? Assumes the deal is happening. Do you want to handle this yourself, or should I involve your supervisor? Assumes one of those will occur. You feel empowered because you're choosing, but the outcome was predetermined. How to apply this in business? We can deliver the premium package by Friday or standard by Monday. Either choice gets the sale. In relationships, we can discuss this calmly now, or you can think about it, and we'll talk tomorrow. Either option maintains your boundary. In conflict, you can apologize now, and we move forward, or we escalate this formally. Either option holds them accountable. Notice the pattern? You're not forcing anyone. You're architecting the decision space. The advanced version. Make your preferred choice seem like their idea. Use questions that lead them to your conclusion. They discover it themselves, and people support their own ideas enthusiastically. What do you think would happen if we tried this? How could we solve this problem? Guide them to the answer you want. They'll champion it as their own insight. Structure choices so doing the right thing is also the easiest thing. This makes you impossible to control because you control the frame. And whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Rule 6. Destroy enemies completely, or make them allies. This is Machiavelli's most ruthless principle, and it's rooted in cold logic. Half measures create future problems. He wrote, "Men ought either to be well treated or crushed, because they can avenge lighter injuries, but not serious ones." Translation: if you're going to make an enemy, make sure they can't recover. If you're not willing to do that, don't make them an enemy at all. The logic. When you partially defeat someone, you create a wounded enemy. The most dangerous kind. They remember. They resent. They plot. And when you're vulnerable, they strike. History is filled with leaders who showed mercy to rivals, only to be destroyed later. Roman emperors who exiled conspirators instead of executing them. Kings who imprisoned threats instead of eliminating them. The pattern is consistent. Incomplete victories become complete defeats. The two paths. Machiavelli offers only two options. Path 1. Total victory. If someone is genuinely your enemy, if reconciliation is impossible, remove their ability to harm you completely. In modern contexts, in business, outcompete them so thoroughly they exit the market. In careers, ensure their credibility is destroyed through exposing truth. In social circles, make alliance with them so toxic others avoid them. This isn't cruelty, it's permanence. You're not seeking suffering, you're ending the threat. Path 2. Conversion. Make them your ally, not your friend, your ally. This is often superior because it removes a threat, adds a resource, demonstrates strength and magnanimity, creates loyalty through redemption. How? First, demonstrate overwhelming power. They must know they lost completely. Second, offer dignity within your framework. Give them a role that matters, but doesn't threaten you. Third, bind interests together, so your success becomes theirs. The Romans mastered this. They didn't just conquer. They offered citizenship and partnership. Former enemies became loyal provinces. The fatal middle ground. What you never do, wound them and walk away. Don't humiliate someone and leave them employed. Don't publicly call someone out, then ignore the aftermath. Don't win a battle and assume the war is over. That's how you create assassins. The example. A colleague sabotages your project. 3 options. 1. Weak. Complain to HR, create awkwardness, no real consequence. Now you have a permanent enemy who knows you're not a threat. 2. Complete. Document everything. Build an airtight case. Get them removed. Threat eliminated. 3. Strategic. Confront them privately with evidence, explain consequences, then offer collaboration. This ends now. Either become part of my success or be exposed. Choose. You've shown power and offered redemption. The weak response creates maximum future danger with minimum current resolution. Most people avoid both effective options because they require courage. So they choose passive aggression and wonder why enemies never disappear. Choose your battles carefully, but once chosen, finish them. Rule 7. Appear virtuous while acting practically. This is Machiavelli's masterstroke, the principle that ties everything together. He understood that humans judge by appearances, not reality. We reward the perception of goodness more than actual goodness. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. The illusion. The most effective operators appear noble while acting pragmatically. They seem generous while calculating every move. They look spontaneous while planning meticulously. Why? Because people need to believe in goodness. We want leaders to be principled, systems to be fair, victories to be clean. The person who provides that illusion while operating in reality wins twice. They achieve goals and maintain reputation. The example. Think about successful politicians. They campaign on ideals while governing through compromise. They appear above the fray while orchestrating behind scenes. They seem to stumble into success while engineering every step. The public loves them because they maintain the illusion. The cynical respect them because they achieve results. A CEO fires 10% of their workforce. If they hide it, they're hated. If they appear pained, cite necessity, and honor those leaving, they're seen as a tough but fair leader. Same action, different framing, completely different outcomes. How to apply this? When you need to be ruthless, frame it as reluctant necessity. I didn't want this, but circumstances left no choice. When you calculate, appear thoughtful. I've considered this from every angle. When you win, appear humble. We were fortunate. The substance is the same. The presentation determines reception. The deeper layer. The true masters don't just fake virtue. They cultivate enough genuine virtue to make appearance credible. They're generous in small things, so they can be ruthless in big things. They're honest about small matters, so they're believed when they lie about important ones. They show weakness in safe areas, so their strength in critical areas is unexpected. You're not creating complete fiction. You're curating which truths are visible. Why this makes you impossible to control. When you master appearance, manipulators can't use your reputation against you. When they try to paint you as villain, your curated image contradicts them. You've inoculated yourself against reputation attacks by controlling the story before others write it. Meanwhile, you maintain operational freedom because the gap between perception and reality gives you room to maneuver. The wise person operates in the gap between perception and reality. That gap is where power lives, the uncomfortable truth. You're probably thinking, is this just teaching manipulation? Fair question. Here's the answer. These rules don't create manipulators. They reveal the world manipulators already navigate. These principles are already being used against you every day by people who understand power while you've been taught to ignore it. Your boss understands Rule 1. That's why they manage through incentives, not friendship. Your competitors understand Rule 6. That's why they don't just beat you. They eliminate your position entirely. Manipulators understand Rule 3. That's why they stay quiet while you reveal everything. The choice isn't whether these rules exist. They do. The choice is whether you understand them or remain blind. The ethical application. These rules are tools. Tools can build or destroy. The ethics aren't in the rules. They're in your intentions. Use these principles to protect yourself from manipulation. Navigate competitive environments effectively. Build influence for constructive purposes. Avoid being exploited by those who know these rules. This is the knowledge that levels the playing field. Without it, you're in a game where others know the rules and you don't. The integration. Becoming impossible to control. These 7 rules work together. You're impossible to manipulate because you understand self-interest and keep intentions hidden. You're impossible to intimidate because you've established boundaries backed by consequences. You're impossible to predict because you adapt to circumstances rather than following rigid patterns. You're impossible to trap because you engineer situations where every option benefits you. You're impossible to defeat because you finish what you start. You're impossible to attack because you control your reputation. This isn't about becoming cold or cruel. It's about becoming aware and effective. The final question. Machiavelli's gift wasn't teaching evil. It was teaching sight. He showed us how power actually works, stripped of comfortable lies. Most people will reject these rules. They'll call them cynical or wrong. And that's fine. Those people will continue to be controlled, manipulated, and exploited by those who understand what they refuse to see. But you're different. You're here because some part of you knows the world doesn't work the way we're told. You've seen the gap between what people say and what people do. These rules don't make you the villain. They make you informed. What you do with that information determines your character. Use it to protect yourself. Use it to achieve worthy goals. Use it to avoid being someone else's pawn in a game you didn't know you were playing. But whatever you do, don't ignore it. Because in the real world, the world Machiavelli described 500 years ago, ignorance isn't innocence, it's vulnerability. Now that you know these rules, What will you do? Will you pretend they don't exist and hope for the best? Or will you master them and become truly impossible to control? The choice is yours. Because whether you learn these rules or not, others already have. And they're using them right now on you, unless you stop them.